Welcome back, Andrew. We cover a lot of the polls here at this table, but let's get away from the candidates, but yet stay on the ballot. And there's a big issue for New Yorkers, and the governor's very invested in it. It's about casinos.
And this is fascinating, Rich, because beyond the issue itself, this may turn into be a lesson on both political language and also gubernatorial clout. Here's what I mean. New Siena poll, surprisingly thin margin when voters are asked if they want non-Indian Vegas-style casino gambling in the Empire State. That is just a 4-point spread. It's inside the poll's margin of error. But that ain't the question that voters are actually going to see when they go to the polls next month. The actual ballot language will say the casinos bring the potential for job growth and lower taxes if approved. And when asked in just that language, the referendum far more popular, 56-40 in support. A 16-point spread that's 4 times bigger than the gap over asking it just in generic terms. But language or no language, New York Post says Andrew Cuomo picking up the dice on this. The report says aides to the governor are saying he thinks his prestige is on the line on this issue and that he plans to go all out between now and Election Day to try to ensure its passage, Rich.
And we've covered this, Dominic. I don't remember something on a ballot that's worded the way this thing is here. It's like, if you love your family, you'll vote for this, yes or no. You know what I mean? And, that said, this is a big deal for Cuomo.
It is. I remember we had this conversation initially. I got in trouble with you guys because I supported the language that's promising all things to all people the way it's worded, as opposed to the lower numbers that what you showed. The governor does have a lot on the line here. One, he's lowering expectations by coming out saying this, but you know he's missed to get it done, missed the high popular poll numbers. A lot of his credibility is on the line with this, Richard. No doubt about it.
And Andrew, it's a geography question, though. I think that's what people got to remember here, because it's not downstate that they're going to get these casinos. This is about upstate, hard economies, obviously less populations. He's got to figure out how to have 2 different arguments, and you got up there and down here.
And you've got a blowout election coming in New York City, nearly 3-1 for the Democrats. So you're not going to have a very high turnout in New York City. In the mayor's race, so that's where you'd think there'd be a lot of support for these casinos coming from the city. So there's some concern.
You think so? I think there'd be more pushback down south than north, because at least up north they'll see it.
But north, the upstate tends to skew more conservatively and might oppose it on ideological differences or ideological grounds, whereas city voters I think would be more likely to support. One other issue to keep in mind for Governor Cuomo and why he's so invested in this, we've been talking for some time about who wants to float a tax cut next year. He's banking on revenue coming in from casinos as soon as possible and expanding revenue in any way, shape, or form that they can. It's one of those easy ways for a government to raise funds and raise income without actually raising taxes. So politicians love it. It's like candy.
I try not to put you guys ever on the spot by asking who you're going to vote for. I'm not, but in this particular case, because it's a social issue as much as anything else, is an economic one. If today's the election, do you vote for it?
Definitely. We've had this conversation. When you look at some of the cities upstate, there's really no other choice.
Andrew, for me, what Dom said is, you walk through the Catskills, you see the boarded up stores, and you tell me if the alternative is better. I know there's the vices, and this is a quick fix. It's not the perfect way for job growth, and not great jobs, but consider the alternative.
You know how I feel about gambling. I mean, you know that people at Harrah's...
Andrew likes to roll the boat.
The people at Harrah's know how I feel about it. But honestly, this will be one of those things where I hold my nose and vote yes for it. I believe it should happen, and I believe it's may as well. And I also think it's the right thing to do. People should have the right to gamble if they want to. But I don't like the way this is being done. I don't like the way it's being staggered upstate. I don't like the way the money's basically being sent out of the state in all this. I'd like to see some of this stay at home. So I'll hold my nose for it and vote yes, but I wish they had done this better.
All right. Coming up next, everybody, a subject I'd like to talk about, and that's what happened yesterday, JETS. And the Giants have a make-or-break game, if you can argue if the season's still alive, coming up in, less than a couple hours. Stay with us, everybody. Jets and Giants after this.